G'day and welcome to Dave's Model Workshop. Today I'm going to be showing you my latest build, which is a warehouse in 1/35th scale. It's a big job. But look, before we do, I want to say something really important. I realise it's been 3-4 weeks between videos here on my channel, and I wanted to say a big sorry to you guys. I'll be bringing out some more information about that soon, but really, sincere apologies. Okay, let's get into it. So, here are some reference photos of the actual warehouse that I was building. So this is a warehouse here in Yarraville in Melbourne, and I was commissioned by the owner to build this. It has sentimental value to them. They built it themselves. It's only about 4 years old, even though the brickwork and in particular these amazing doors look really old. But yeah, it's only about 4 years old. Apparently the guy who built it, he's been like moving around with these doors for years and years, waiting to find the right place to install them. This is the interior, so it's a really big open empty space inside, but that frontage really is where all the character is. Yeah, it was bit of a challenge. They wanted the entire interior, so lots of reference photos. So let's get stuck into how I actually built it. So I didn't video any of this, it's all still photography today. But I started off with the easy stuff, worked out my scale, started off with the easy stuff, which was building the doors and the window frames out of styrene strip. I decided to go for 1/35th scale. The end result ended up being about 40 centimeters long, so it's quite big. And I also used my usual blue insulation foam for the brickwork at the front there. One of the things inside was the bicycle, so I got a Tamiya 1/35th German Army bicycle set and updated it a little bit. And that was part of the reasoning that I built in 1/35th scale, was so I could use that bicycle rather than have to scratch build an entire bike. Here's the frontage. Yeah, you can see here I've built the top corrugated iron section as well, and just a couple of sort of test fits to make sure it all worked out. So you can see that's about, yeah, roughly 30 centimeters wide. Yeah, loved building that section. That was the most interesting part of the whole thing. Then I started building the rest of it. So here's that sort of central spine that all of the roof work is built upon, and it really, the entire roof hangs from that one central girder, all styrene strip, as you can see. And I designed it to make it possible to take the lid off so you could actually see inside. You could take the roof off. So here's the roof structure, all built, so many pieces of styrene, so much cutting. Even just those girders there, just the little tiny pieces between the two girders. Oh, it was a bit of a nightmare to build actually, but satisfying. A couple of details, little exit sign, and also the trampoline. It's not the greatest trampoline in the world, it's a bit dodgy, don't look too closely. The doors, I thought about building them from balsa, but in the end I made them from styrene, because I knew that I could weather them really beautifully. So there's the interior and the exterior. It was just really careful painting, all done with brush, no chipping, no sponging, all just done with a brush here. This time I really wanted to replicate the cracked and faded paint precisely compared to my reference photos. The brickwork, tried to sort of give a bit of variation in the tones of the bricks there, and here you can see it's all glued together, starting to come together. So yeah, pretty happy with it. It was it's a little bit wobbly on the edges. The walls were a bit bowed, unfortunately, the side walls. But I guess, to have the interior and to have it all fairly at scale, that was what I had to work with. Here's the plaster base, so I mixed plaster of Paris. I put the building on it thinking, oh, I'll just let it settle, give it nicely set in the foundations. It glued itself in there. There's also a basin in there, a bench top with a basin, which I did make that out of balsa actually, and I wanted to get that really natural wood effect on it. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I was a bit gutted that the whole thing stuck in the plaster, unfortunately, but you adapt and overcome, don't you? Here's the side passage. So it's a paved brick passage down the side, and working out that exact pattern was really interesting. It's just carved with a tool into the plaster. So yeah, you can see it's glued itself into the plaster. The plaster did not let go, even though I tried to. So I just made a virtue of it and ran with it. Some interior details, the fire extinguisher, the signage, etc. And yeah, there's a little bathroom down the back, which is where the sink goes. So that's pretty cute. It's nice to get a bit of detail in there, because otherwise it was a very open, empty and sparse space. You'll see in a moment, you'll see a couple of photos of the whole space, and it is quite empty other than these details. Yeah, the front door in place, and some pot plants which were down the side, some sort of wall hanging plants. So yeah, here's the interior. So it is quite big and empty. That big trampoline doesn't take up a lot of space. Yeah. So let's show you a final showcase of some really nice shots of it. So I was really happy with this in the end. It worked out beautifully. I feel that sunlight coming through the roof, just amazing, just lovely, and the whole thing feels quite representative of the real thing. The doors are the focal point. That's really the piece that I love the most, and really happy with how those turned out. The paintwork was a real challenge, and I was happy with it. So scale-wise, I do feel like it's come out pretty close to the real thing. A couple of tones of the brickwork and stuff weren't spot on, but overall, I feel like it was pretty close. And the interior, to me, that feels like almost like a real shot of an interior of a warehouse. I do feel pretty happy with that. But you can see how big and empty it is if you're not careful. Yeah, it was a pleasure to make. It took about 3.5 weeks, and I didn't video the process like I did in my last build. I just got in there, got stuck in, and really was completely in the zone. And that was satisfying, but I did feel bad that I left you guys in the lurch for a few weeks there. I really have been radio silence from my end. These are still photos of the real thing here, just held up in front of the sky in my backyard. So look, I hope this is of interest to you, and I promise there will be more videos soon, and thanks for sticking with me, and I'll chat to you guys next time on Dave's Model Workshop. I do hope this is interesting to you, and I'll see you next time. Thanks guys, and thank you for your patience. See ya.